Does Janet Yellen and the Fed know something that we don't, or are they preparing us for something that is a major problem? Take a look here. Yeah, so Janet Yellen warns that high prices could be here to stay. Listen to what she says here. While testifying before the Senate Banking Committee, Janet Yellen admitted that prices for most items are unlikely to return to where they were before the inflation crisis began in 2021, saying, quote, "I don't expect the level of prices to go down. Some prices will be higher than they were before the pandemic and will stay higher." Janet Yellen said during a contentious exchange with Senator John Kennedy, who, boy, they really just hate each other. Quote, "But wages have risen considerably, and the pace of price increases has now receded over the past 6 months. Prices for everything, including groceries, new cars, health insurances, have surged in 2021 and 2022 as a result of rampant inflation, which was caused by pandemic-induced disruptions in global supply chains, an extremely tight labor market, and increased consumer demand, fueled in part by stimulus cash." You can let me know your thoughts on that. Janet Yellen also says, quote, "We don't have to get the prices down because wages are going up." She said, noting that the median worker in the US can buy the same basket of goods as they did in 2019 with $1,400 left over. So Americans on average are better off in spite of the fact that the level of prices is higher. I don't know. Do you think that the average American is better off right now with prices higher and with the inflation that we just went through, the highest in 40 years? I don't know. I think that most people would rather say we'd rather not have record of 40-year high inflation. I think that if we could choose to not have record high inflation of 40 years, I think most people would say we'd rather not have that. Yeah. And then, we're having things like this where California has having to, and we're seeing this in a lot of different states, where California has had to raise their minimum wage for two industries. California raises their minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour starting in April. On the other hand, we're starting to see Big Mac meals in California are going to be $18. So yeah, you have Californians that voted for this and they're like, yeah, let's give them a living wage, $20 an hour, which is really 40,000 a year. And for some people that might sound like a lot, but the price of real estate in California is, ridiculous, right? You can't buy a house on $40,000 a year in California. I mean, we're talking in general broad terms here, right? I mean, sure, you could probably find one somewhere, right? But you're also going to have to buy a Big Mac for a Big Mac meal for $18. So you get what you vote for. And this is kind of the problem. You also have California with the highest state taxes in the nation, where California state taxes can be as high as 13% just for the state taxes. It's just one tax. You got your federal taxes, you got your state taxes, you got your property taxes, you got your FICA taxes. You got so many taxes, right? It's just sales taxes, property taxes, every sort of tax. It's just tax. It's just taxes, taxes, taxes. It's just one thing is certain is taxes, living, breathing, dying, and taxes, right? In fact, if you are a high income earner in California, you will pay more taxes than you take home. You will pay more than 50% in taxes. That's right. That the government can actually earn more than you will earn from your paycheck. More than 50% in taxes. Just let that sink in for a while. Remember that we seceded from Britain because of, well, one reason: high taxes, taxation without representation, and all this stuff, right? So we left and seceded and fought a war and tyranny and all this stuff because of high taxes. And here we are with some, the largest state in the nation, tens of millions of people. And, we're literally, we have places that the government will take more taxes than what you earn. I, I get it. It's just, it's insane, right? And the problem here is that things are getting out of control cost wise. We have places in all over the United States, you know, New York, California, even Austin, Texas, and Boston, Boston, all these different places, right? Where it cost, $500,000 can't buy you nothing. That's a shoebox of a place, right? You can't go to New York City, and $500,000 can't buy you a studio apartment. And you need closer to $1 million to buy something. You can't be a fast food worker and go buy a house in New York City. Yet there's millions of people that live there. And there's all these fast food places and Starbucks and all these places that actually need people to work there. And that's kind of the quandary: is how are these jobs going to get filled? How are people going to fill these jobs and yet live there? It's actually kind of mind-blowing, because there's millions of people that live in the city and have to actually live there or live close enough nearby and have to afford to live there, but can't actually afford to live there. Therein lies the rub. And you could be like, oh, well, Jimmy, they can rent, but rent is like thousands and thousands of dollars. And this is kind of the problem that America has worked itself into. And it's going to be a very, very hard problem. And this is the problem: is that prices aren't going to come down anytime soon. And the other problem is that to rent, you have to rent from a homeowner or a corporation that owns, and they have a mortgage that they have to pay, and they have to cover their costs. So, if you just figure that, somebody owns the home, and that, or just figure a guy that owns one or two homes, and, he has to pay his mortgage and his insurance and his electricity bill and so on and so on and so on. He has to earn a little bit more than that cost. Economics 101. So, this is kind of the problem that we've gotten ourselves into. This great country and there's no real world solution right now. And yeah, the first solution is for interest rates to come down, because it will actually bring the cost down on rents and mortgages and car payments and credit cards and a lot of stuff. But it's not gonna happen immediately. And all this stuff is gonna take years to happen. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything happening on a daily basis. Thank you for liking and sharing these videos. Make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos. I'll keep you up to date. Click here to see my video on McDonald's making some major changes that is going to cost you a lot of money. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.